Welcome back, guys. We are finally here. We're in Ibiza and we're going to get started on the races that we have now got. Of course, kicking off today in the Alpine, we're going to be going through some of the daily driver races that have came here on rotation for today's video. Glad to have you all back with us. Hope you're enjoying the content. Lots coming out this week all around Ibiza, all around the races. Of course, we're going to touch on the live event when it happens on Wednesday, but first of all, we're going to go shopping, guys. We're going to go shopping in Ibiza town. This 2.3 mile 100% asphalt dry race in the daily driver category, 400 to 500 RP to start us off with today. Now, first of all, I want to touch on this, the new scenery that we have, the new build-up for the races. Let me know your thoughts on that one. I like this. I like the new build-up for these races. We're going to kick it off, though, in the Alpine today. Our very lady rear-wheel drive, very powerful Alpine, of course, is restricted a bit down to that 500 RP category. Into turn number one, we're nice and clean through this one. Back end stepping out just a little bit, but all in all, navigating turn one fantastically well. We've got a nice little fast section here. We want to just miss that inside wall, but not extend out too much, clipping the outside barriers. Nice flowing right-hander there, and we can get the power down here. A little jump there. There are some undulations on some of these courses I've noticed so far in a random misdirection on the race route. Perhaps some mapping issues there with the latest update. But one thing I have noticed with the races so far is there's a lot of little curbs and undulations on some of these tracks that really do unsettle the cars. I actually quite like it. It's a bit of a quirk in some of these races. These are street races. They shouldn't be completely flat. So I actually quite like how they have been left in the game. Back to the track we do have here, it is obviously quite tight, and that has been quite a factor here for the races in Ibiza. They are more focused towards precise racing, more nimble vehicles, and I like that. That was something I did want to see happen. Over in Hong Kong Island, yes, they're big wide roads, big wide races, and that's fantastic for going fast. These races in particular, they're a lot more nimble. We need to be more agile with some of these races, and I like that. It's fantastic to see it in game. As we do move forward here, what are we about 60% through? The Alpine has been a fantastic candidate for the daily driver category so far. Back in Hong Kong, we already know that the Audi TT RS was the meta, so being able to use more of these daily driver cars with more purpose has been fantastic. The Alpine here been absolutely great so far. We've got a right-hander here. Once again, we just want to miss that inside wall. We do manage to clip it, unfortunately, but it's not hampered us all too much. We're well ahead of the rest of the pack. Another right-hander there. We could have been a bit tighter, but all in all, still doing fantastically well. Get right to the right-hand side so we can cut across left-hander. We can get foot flat to the floor, and we can complete out race number one as quick as you like. Just a couple of minutes to carry out the shopping in Ibiza town race there, and we do win this race quite handsomely there, taking first place for today's first daily driver race. Now, we're not going to stay restricted to the Alpine for today. I'm going to explore as many cars, or a few cars here, in the races that we do have on the current rotation in today's video. Of course, it's all going to be focused around the daily driver category, the back end really getting leery there in the Alpine. But we're going to push up to the next one for today. Of course, we have got a variety of daily driver cars that we can use, that we have purchased so far from Hong Kong Island. But heading over to conquering Dalt Vila, another 3.5 mile sprint race or clan race there, 100% asphalt, clear dusk, and that one again restricted to 400 to 500 RP in the daily driver category. Another fantastic bit of scenery loading us into race number 2 today. I would really like to know your guys' thoughts on that one. But we're going to jump into the meta today. We're going to jump into the obnoxiously green Audi TT-RS launching off the line as fantastic as it always has done. We already know just how well this thing launches off the line. We can really punch this one up. It's a big long stretch until we do get to the first proper turn, which is of course going to be a left-hander here, but we're already just over a second ahead of the rest of the pack. Want to position yourselves well for this one, keep it right, swing it left. We do get dive bomb from another TT-RS, a big fight going into turn number 1, but we come out with that one on top. We can punch it up the hill here, and we want to try and stretch that lead out just a little bit. This one does get a little bit tricky though. It is quite a testing little track here. As we come downhill, we do get unsettled. It does push us wide, and it does compromise our next right hand turn here. We do take a bit of curb, once again unsettling the car, but we've got around that one all right so far. As we start to come uphill, once again left-hander into a couple of right-handers up here, we want to be cautious there. I have tried this track a couple of times and it has pushed me wide into the wall. A little bit slow around that section, but it's all good. It's being clean, and we want to be clean with some of these races. Into this left-hander here, once again a nice real tight section here. as the back end does actually step out on the TTRS, it is good to see how tight some of these tracks are. Right-hander into left-hander chicane, right-hand 90 degree coming up. We want to try and cut that as tight as we can, just missing the wall, and we do just that in the TT. Big flowing left-hander here, we do lift, but we just managed to miss that inside wall once again. Foot flat to floor, keeping ourselves wide right on the track here as we want to cut back across left. Once again, just missing that inside wall. Foot back down, we're just over 6 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, 50% way of the way through race number 2. Double right-hander here. I was a little bit cautious, guys. I did lift on that one, as I do up into these left-handers. I tried to go flat out here and you just go wide into that wall time and time again, so we do have to lift, correct the steering a couple of times to get round that left-hander. But as we do flow through another wide chicane there, as we get a bit of scream, like that's very annoying, apologies on that one. But we can now get the foot down, we've got about 30% left. Big left-hander here, again lifting on that one. I didn't want to overcommit to take out that right-hand wall. And another big chicane there, not much of a chicane, we just lift. As we come up through this last little section, underneath these archways, we're foot flat to the floor here, guys. We do lift for this one, let the back end step out just a little bit, but we can get the power back down through the little tunnel here. Left-hander on this cobbly street, it is a slippy cobble, it doesn't look it, and we do outbrake ourselves ever so slightly, bring the front end back round, and we can push this one up this little hill section. We've got one last left-hander up ahead here. We want to prepare for that one. Again, trying to stay wide. There is a little hump crest on that hill there. It does unsettle us as we do come down into the braking zone, but we've got around that one, not too bad. We can get the foot back down here as we do climb uphill. The power, the four-wheel drive of the TT is really helping us out, pulling us up this hill as we do cross the line. Once again, we do take out a win for our second race here, this time out of course in the Audi TT RS. And of course, we're not going to leave it there. We're going to push forward, and we're going to get into the third race for today and explore some more of the daily driver category. This time we'll head on over to Talamanca, and the third race for today is to the end of the Pier, a 2.5 mile race. Once again, 90% asphalt but 10% gravel, throwing a little bit of gravel into that race. Daily driver category, once again this one limiting us to 600 to 700 RP in the daily driver category. And this time out I go into something a little bit different. After we get the intro, which again I absolutely love, we try a different car this time, and we jump back over into the Lancia Delta Integrale, a car I've been largely disappointed with in the game so far, but I've spent a little bit of time. This is a car I absolutely love. It's one of the childhood cars that I always watched. It's a legend, the 16 valver that is, not the 8 valver. And I've spent a bit of time, guys. I've tried to build a bit of a good balance for this one, and so far it actually seems pretty good here. I am on the slick tyres, so we're nowhere going to compromise a little bit of the handling, the grip level that we've got here for power, but it seems to be paying off so far. The noise we get out of these Delta Integrales is absolutely fantastic. We can hear it right here. Heavy braking zone coming up ahead. I do outbrake myself just a little bit there. We can see the back end stepping out as I try to get the power down, but that is half the fun of these four-wheel drive hot hatch cars. Love it, absolutely love it. Big left-hander here, again braking earlier. There's an undulation on that hill, a big crest on it. Outbraking yourselves, we would have been into that wall at the end of the, before the left-hander that is. So we're managing to break this one all good so far. We can push forward though. What kind of lead have we got? We've got a 9.8 second lead from the rest of the pack, and at this point in this track in particular is where things start to get interesting. We're flat out all the way through here. A couple of interesting braking zones here. We can see we do outbrake ourselves as we get unsettled, but we want to try and navigate that little roundabout there. Heavy braking zone into this 90-degree right as we cut back on ourselves into the off-road section, trying a little bit of handbrake turn, but the car's sliding away from us. As we come into the little bridge, we are off-road, we are on standard road tyres, and we push up into the first jump for today. It's a tricky one. We have to get the landing right there, or we do hit the wall on either side. Another big jump here as we look to try and cut through this little chicane, under the little tunnel, through the little tube, whatever you want to call it, and we look to cut back on ourselves. Let the back end of this one drift out, take out the railings, it doesn't matter, it doesn't slow us down. We can get our foot flat to the floor once again. Already 90% of the way through this one. Tight little section here, we want to try and cut right, avoid that wall on the left hand side. We only just clip it, but it doesn't compromise us all too much as we take a right round all the semi-trucks, round through these containers. It gives us a little bit of a tricky end to this race. The back end of the Delta Integrale does step out on us, but again we do cross the line in first place, and another fantastic race that has dropped for us over in Ibiza. So just 3 races for today in the daily driver category. I'm going to try and cover off as many of the races as I can this week and next week, so we can explore all of the different categories in all of the different races here in Ibiza. I, for one, am absolutely thrilled with the races that have been dropped so far. You guys can let me know your thoughts. How are you feeling? How are you finding Ibiza so far? How do you feel some of these races are? I personally am quite happy with them. There's a couple of races that are very OP for certain cars. Some races are very difficult for others, but we're going to cover that all off in the videos this week, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed it. Please give me a little like, subscribe, give me a little comment down below, feed that YouTube algorithm, and let's push this video out as far and as wide as you can. Once again, guys, hope you've enjoyed today's content, and stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.